I'd like to call to order this regular council meeting in the town of Saugeen Shores, and the first order of business is a declaration of pecuniary interest and a reminder of your responsibility. The next item is additions, deletions, or amendments to the agenda, and we have nothing under that. And item 4 is adoption of minutes. The first is the regular council minutes, and it's been moved by Councillor Grace, seconded by Councillor Dave Mayette, that council adopt the minutes of the council meeting of September the 12th, 2016 as presented. Any errors, omissions? Not. All in favor? It's carried. Next item is Committee of the Whole minutes, and it's been moved by Councillor Matheson, seconded by Councillor Mike Mayette, that council note and file the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting of September the 12th, 2016 as presented. Any questions, errors? All in favor? That's carried. The next item is Environmental Services and Transportation Report of September the 12th, and it's been moved by Councillor Rich, seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Environmental Services and Transportation Report dated September the 12th, 2016, recommending that Clearwater Directional Drilling be awarded the contract for the Goddard Street Lighting Conduit Installation Project, quotation number 2016-6320-5660, in the amount of $42,084 plus applicable HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to send the necessary contract documents. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Next item is there's a staff report with it, and it's to do with Side Road 1819 rehabilitation. I'll read the motion. If we got any questions of Len, we'll take them. It's been moved by Councillor Mike Myatt, seconded by Councillor Matheson. The council award the contract for the Side Road 1819 rehabilitation project, tender number 2016-6320-5650, to E.C. King Contracting in the amount of $169,880.90 plus applicable HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the necessary contract documents. Any questions or comments to it? All in favor? Opposed to me? That's carried. And the next item is staff report, and there's a staff report with it again, and I'll read the recommendation or the motion, and we'll entertain any questions. And it has to do with closed circuit television sewer inspection, and it's been moved by Vice Deputy Mayor Huber, seconded by Councillor Grace. The council award the contract for the closed circuit television sewer inspection services project to Clearwater Structures Incorporated, tender number 2016-6410-5420, in the amount of $26,373.70 plus applicable HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the necessary tender documents, including the recommendation to complete the additional 7,000 meters in Southampton for the additional cost of $13,000 plus applicable HST. Maybe, do you want to speak to it at all, Lynn, and just tell us what all you're doing? Or I know, because I think this is a really good story. We're finally you'll have all of the, I think Laura mentioned about, you'll have all of the old sewers at a very good price.
Yes, Laura jumped the gun on this one. But I just want to clarify that Clearwater Structures Inc. is out of Ajax. They are not in connection with the Clearwater here in town. Okay. We had 5 bidders for the project. You can see where their prices range from $26,000 to $95,000. Clearwater Structures sent us a DVD along with their package, which included samples of projects they've already done, so that not only the video portion, but the data files and the GIS files came with it as well, so we could make sure that they met our requirements. And what also happened was they came in substantially lower than we were anticipating, but there's about 65% of the sewers in Southampton that were still not PVC, that we didn't have included in our original tender because we didn't think we could afford it. But with the lower price that they came in at, this clears up all piping within Saugeen Shores that is not PVC. So it'll give us a good benchmark going forward.
Yeah, thanks very much. It really adds to our the accuracy of our capital asset management plan.
Correct.
Yeah, thanks very much. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Next item is a Gray Street Capital Project, and it's been moved by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau, seconded by Councillor Rich. The council awarded the contract to Doug Wells Construction for the Gray Street, Peel Street, Adelaide Street Reconstruction Project, tender number 2016-6320-5605, in the amount of $194,443.75 plus applicable HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to send the necessary contract documents. Questions? Councillor Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, I meant to ask this question earlier in the day. With the curb construction going on, is it going on just for the development part, or is it going to be on the whole road? Does it extend from the end of the development to Peel Street? Len, can you let me know how that's working?
It starts at the end of the curb returns at Peel Street and will continue all the way to Adelaide Street. So it will encompass everything from Peel to the limit of the development.
So it's not a 90-degree curb, it's the E curve for water flow?
Yes.
Or is it? Yes.
No, it's the mountable curb.
No further questions? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. The next item is Goddard Street Storm Sewer Tender Award, and it's been moved by Vice Deputy Mayor Huber, seconded by Councillor Minaj, that council award the contract for the Goddard Street Storm Sewer Project to Doug Welsh Construction, tender number 2016-6320-5545, in the amount of $185,430.24 plus applicable HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the necessary tender documents. Questions? Councillor Minaj.
So this is quite a bit of work for this one company, right, to do?
Correct.
We're at the end of September. And are we likely to succeed with the dates that we've got left? Are we going to be okay with this? Or will it be left over until the spring to complete?
No, that is why I brought it tonight, so that they can start on it right away. And I foresee, unless winter hits us in October, then we'll be into issues. But if winter holds off till November 1, we'll be fine.
Further questions? Councillor Dave Mayett.
Are we going to be digging up Goddard Street during Pumpkin Fest?
No.
The Goddard Street storm sewer work is in the grassed area. The bulk of it is in the grassed area beside Tibor's garage.
Okay.
There's only one crossing on the highway, and it's not targeted to start until the 14th.
Good.
Further questions? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. The next motion is a motion on Island Street, and it's been moved by Councillor Grace, seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau, whereas Island Street Beach is one of Southampton's most popular tourist beaches, and as such is an important factor in the Saugeen Shores' continuing success as a tourist destination. And whereas initial Island Street storm sewer construction in May 1991 and subsequent extensions in the mid-90s have been damaged by storm and increased erosion, and whereas the town has provided minimal maintenance on this watercourse in the last 20 years, resulting in a growing pool of stagnant water and debris, a site which poses health risks to users and a widening wet beach. And whereas hydrological research shows that drainage of stormwater into beaches creates expansion of wet beach conditions, wet beaches foster growth of invasive species, including Phragmites, and increased incidence of E. coli. And whereas the area behind the dunes in Island Street, including the parking lot and picnic area, used to be a coastal wetland, which drained stormwater flow gradually into the beach, and whereas Town of Saugeen Shores staff consultation with representative of the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority and the Lake Erie Coastal Conservation Center indicates that construction of an infiltration gallery under the Island Street parking lot could restore some of the elements to the original wetland. And whereas such an infiltration gallery could help to mitigate the intermittent low flow rates which would normally be directed to the outlet swale or drainage channel in that location and ultimately to the Lake Erie. An infiltration gallery would consist of perforated storm sewers allowing for the storage of stormwater in the frequent but minor storm events, which could reduce the volume of water currently released into the beach. And whereas these measures would also help to mitigate erosion of the Chantry Dunes and could be designed to help facilitate accessibility needs for beach access. And whereas green infrastructure, such as the above project, can provide benefits such as flood risk reduction, climate change adaptation, water quality protection, infrastructure savings, improved tourism and recreation, increased public health and property values. And whereas the above staff also indicate that with proper preparation, a project of this type may be eligible for grants and funding from such agencies as the Great Lakes Guardian Community Fund, Environment and the Climate Change Canada Green Source Fund, Infrastructure Canada Green Infrastructure Fund, Infrastructure Ontario, Eco Action, Canada-Ontario Agreement, Healthy Lake Urine Initiatives, and others. Now, therefore, the Town of Saugeen Shores directs municipal staff to prepare preliminary engineering actions and including contacting agencies who could be required to provide approval, and its names MOECC, Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, MNRF and DFO, etc., as well as determination if a municipal class environmental action is required. What other studies and schedules would be required, understanding that staff advises that a consulting engineer should be retained to complete the required studies required for subsequent approvals. 2, directs municipal staff to inform council of the impact this project would have if approved, reporting on anticipated workload, delay of paving for the parking lot, project cost and funding, as well as prioritizing the project under other pending projects. So, breath after that. Comments? I'll start with Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things on this. First of all, this version did not include some of the footnotes that I included. I don't know if you saw the original footnotes, but I wanted I wanted people to understand that some of this information came from staff reports. For example, the comment about providing minimal maintenance, that was not my conclusion. It was a conclusion of a staff report from February 2015. So I wasn't meaning to be critical there. But this motion comes out of months of discussion between the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, the Lake Huron Coastal Conservation Center staff, and residents, and that at this point what staff has asked for is approval from council to move forward, but you know, the motion I think speaks to the importance of this beach area, but also this is, I think, could be an important precedent in terms of using green infrastructure to save our beaches. I was at a conference that I know other members of staff and council were at the end of May, which was put on by the Lake Huron Coastal Conservation Center. And I went to a presentation by Dr. Alan Crow, who worked for Environment Canada, and he is now on the staff of the Lake Huron Coastal Conservation Center. And one of the things that he talked about was the importance for maintaining our beaches, for protecting our beaches, is to get water off of our beaches. That's the number one recommendation that he had and that he has provided to other municipalities. And so in consultation with our engineering staff, there's a feeling that perhaps this might be a possible solution. So what this motion is asking for is approval to go forward and do some more exploration and assessment of what may be possible. Thank you.
Vice Deputy Mayor Huber.
Thank you. It all sounds great, but there's no sense of what number one in the motion might cost. Has there been any discussion at all about cost because, it's outside the budget process, and just, are we talking about a few $1,000s or a whole lot of thousands of dollars?
And maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the first part of the motion talks about the way and mean, and then the second part does direct staff to inform council of this project, how much, if approved, and project cost and funding. Sorry, I got that in. So I think it's there. I think, maybe Len, do you want to speak to it?
Part number one involves having a consulting engineering firm involved because town staff is fairly loaded up with workload already. So we're ballparking that in the neighborhood of $10,000 for their preliminary reports.
Councillor Minaj.
I love these. This is so much respect for Councillor Cheryl Grace background work on this. All the conferences and conventions I've been to as well over the past few years are all pointing to the same problem that needs to be rectified. This is the future. This is what we should be doing. This is very, very needed and necessary. So $10,000 in my mind would be something that should be well spent. I would like to ask, though, that there were a number of people who pointed an accusatory finger at the municipality that this Island Street drain did in fact help complicate the dune structure in the same vicinity, and so knowledge about removing it, if this is the ultimate goal, which I believe it should be and could be and should be, that what would be the rehabilitation of that dune area into the vacated space that's no longer? Would we let nature fill it in, or would we top off dunes and backfill that area so that it was at a new level that nature could control to itself? So that's additional information that I would be wanting to get, and I can't wait to hear the answers on how we do this. All the governments are willing to help fund this. This is one that they should pony up on and tell us we're eligible for, and I hope that we can have some political influence over some grant structures here, because it's so vitally important for this particular piece of water between Southampton's main beach areas and Chantry Island. Thank you.
Councillor Mike Matt.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I really do have some concerns about this recommendation, and I really do feel it should be deferred to budget. It's fair enough to say that, first of all, Councillor Grace, thank you for all the great work you did in the report. You've worked very hard on this, and I did attend a tour day one day with a couple of one other councillor, two other councillor one day just to look at the site. But I've been down on the site many times in previous years. It's fair that the Minister of Natural Resources, Conservation Authority, and Coastal Preservation were down, and they could come to the other 25, 30 sites as well that we have along our shoreline, where we have water drainage, water flows head down to Lake Huron. And there are between 25 and 30 outlets. Down in the area where I live, for example, I've had a resident at 37 Saugeen Beach Road been complaining for many, many years about the drainage, the outflow coming down through 35 Saugeen Beach Road and the property to the south. It flows down there in heavy quantity, volumes, and it ponds in there. There's mosquitoes galore, and it's a breeding pond, breeding area. So I think there's, in all due respect to the report, there are a lot of other outflows, outlets that head down to Lake Huron that need addressing. And I really believe we need a comprehensive report that takes a look at inventorying all of the outflows, all of the outlets from the tablelands, from wherever the water flows from down Lake Huron, what issues that water flow is creating. Bay Street, for example, we've got coming down Green Street. We talk about keeping water off our beach. We've got heavy rains, the beach washes out with the water flow coming down Green Street right down through the main beach of Port Elgin, creating trenches. So that needs to be addressed. So this is one area that needs to be addressed, absolutely, but there are lots of other areas that need to be addressed along our shoreline, and I'm concerned, we've heard $10,000. Is that the cost, or the fact that I guess that's the number? But when we get into this project, is this a $500,000 project? Is it a $750,000 project? Is that where we want to be spending our capital dollars? So I understand the concern from that area. Talked it many times, but there are other areas along Lake Huron, along our shoreline in Saugeen Shores, five north of the river in Southampton. There are some water courses that we've got significant, I think, problems that we need to deal with. So I think it should be deferred to budget, and I think we should be looking at a comprehensive study around all 30. All 30. So that would be my recommendation.
Thanks, Mike. Did you want to comment, Cheryl? Go ahead.
Thank you. In the discussion that we had with staff and the SVCA and the Lake Huron Coastal Conservation Center, I believe that Adam indicated that the total cost might be about $300,000. What we're hopeful about is being able to take advantage of grants that would significantly less than that. But of course, if you don't have that information ready for certain grants to be taken advantage of in a timeline like one right now through a private agency that would actually be going through the SVCA, that might be something that we would have to have that ready, I think, by the end of December. So I'm not sure. Anyway, I think that the other way you could look at it is that, if we start out with this as a project that is an exploratory project, and we see what the possibilities are, then we could expand and pick these places off one by one. Thank
you. Go ahead, Mike.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering if I put that forward to refer this to budget, and also in the same motion, I really would like to request of staff that they come back with that list of our outflows that are coming up, down from Tableland to Walmart parking lot, or where does that water end up? So I would like to maybe part of that request as well.
So I guess what you're suggesting is a motion to defer to budget. Is that what you're saying? We should have that in writing. If you can get a second. In
addition to that, Mr. Mayor, staff coming back with a...
Well, put it in the budget, in the motion, Mike, so we know, and we'll deal with it. In the meantime, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to add that I am well versed with having walked the 18.5 kilometers of waterfront, as you know, and many of you have also, knowledgeable about where all these outfalls or inflows to Lake Huron from our municipality are taking place. This, to the best of my knowledge, is the only totally man-made one. We are discharging the water treatment plant, backwash effluent system, down a ditch line and into Lake Huron right there. That's what this Island Street drain is all about. So this one's slightly different. Thank you.
I think there's one other, and that is the South End drain outlet. That was totally constructed also. South End drain, yes. Councillor Minaj.
Mr. Mayor, I just need some further understanding as to why Cheryl's notice of motion is breezed over at Committee of the Whole, and then it's discussed in great detail here at Council. Wouldn't we be better served having this discussion that we've had at Committee of the Whole?
You bring a motion to, it gives council an opportunity to be prepared at the next meeting so that you have a motion there, and this is what we're going to discuss. That's one of the reasons. I mean, you can change the procedural bylaw if you want. You can do it at any time. You could bring it by...
Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
to clarify, these motions never come to Committee of the Whole. They're introduced on regular council in 1 week and then reintroduced at regular council 2 weeks later. A motion by a member never comes to Committee of the Whole. It's always dealt with at council.
I have a motion to defer, and here it is. Here it's a defer motion that is moved by Councillor Mike Myatt, second by Councillor Rich. Yep, that council defer the recommendation for the hiring of a consulting engineer to complete the required studies for subsequent approvals, and further that staff be directed to prepare an inventory of all water outflows and report back to council to our 2017 budget discussions. Is everybody clear on that? Pretty clear? I'm going to call the question on the motion to defer then. All in favor? Opposed? That fails. So I'll call the question on the main motion then. All in favor of the main motion? Opposed? That carries. So the next item then is a bylaw and a site plan agreement for Barry's construction and installation Arlington Street townhouses, and it's been moved by Councillor Dave Myatt, seconded by Councillor Cheryl Grace, that bylaw 102-2016, being a bylaw to authorize a site plan agreement with Barry's Construction and Installation Limited, is hereby read a first, second, and third time and finally passed and sealed this 26th day of September 2016. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. It's been moved by Councillor Rich and seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau that bylaw 103-2016, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores, is hereby read a first, second, and third time and finally passed and sealed this 26th day of September 2016. All in favor? That's carried. And it's been moved by Councillor Minaj, seconded by Vice Deputy Mayor Huber, that this regular council meeting of September the 26th, 2016, hereby adjourned at 10:46. All in favor? We're adjourned.